The silent shift. You notice it first in glances that linger too long. The subtle change in tone when you speak. The forced laughter at a joke you don't understand. It's a war you never enlisted for, a quiet battle fought in whispers, sideways glances, and unspoken thoughts. One day, someone smiles at you as if nothing has changed, the next, their eyes carry a silent judgment. The shock isn't the hatred itself, it's how it came out of nowhere. How could someone you trusted suddenly resent you? How could loyalty dissolve into envy overnight? This is the invisible war, one fought not with swords or shouts, but with subtle resentment, jealousy, and covert competition. It begins quietly, often unnoticed, and it can be devastating if you're unprepared. 1. The psychology of sudden resentment. Envy, the silent seed. Envy is the quiet architect of resentment. It doesn't announce itself, it whispers. Psychologists describe envy as a feeling that arises when someone else has something we desire, status, success, talent, or even perceived happiness. It's silent because most people fear admitting it. They smile, nod, and congratulate, while internally, their mind calculates why you have what they don't. Envy often arises from comparison, constantly measuring themselves against others. Insecurity, feeling inadequate when exposed to someone's competence. Scarcity mindset, believing that someone else's success diminishes their own chances. When left unchecked, envy transforms into resentment. And unlike envy, resentment is active, it seeks to diminish the object of jealousy, you. The ego and perceived threats. People rarely resent you without reason, or at least without perception. Even your smallest victories can trigger a psychological defense mechanism in someone whose ego feels threatened. The mind interprets another person's growth as a reflection of its own failures. And the more successful, confident, or composed you appear, the louder their insecurity becomes. This is why resentment often seems to appear out of nowhere. It's not sudden, it's a slow accumulation of envy, comparison, and perceived personal inadequacy. But from the outside, it appears as a shocking shift. A once friendly colleague suddenly becomes cold, a casual acquaintance begins to undermine you, or a close friend's words carry subtle hostility. 2. Early warning signs of the invisible war. The shift in body language. Our bodies often betray emotions before our words do. Signs include avoiding eye contact, closed-off posture when you enter the room, smiles that don't reach the eyes, subtle distancing in group conversations. These are the first indicators that envy and resentment are brewing beneath the surface. The change in tone and language. People who begin to resent you often interrupt more frequently, make passive-aggressive jokes, use backhanded compliments, speak as if subtly competing rather than collaborating. The subtle sabotage. Before overt hostility, resentment often manifests as small, calculated actions designed to undermine you. Minimizing your achievements. Withholding important information. Spreading doubt subtly in social or professional circles. 3. Why resentment often hits out of the blue. Invisible buildup. Envy accumulates silently, others rarely reveal it until triggered. Delayed reaction. Human minds sometimes process emotions internally for months before expressing them externally. Projection. People project their insecurities onto you, blaming your success for their dissatisfaction. Social masking. Society teaches people to hide negative feelings, smiles mask silent animosity. 4. The social dynamics of covert resentment. Friendship and competition. Even in close friendships, subtle rivalry can emerge. Someone may appear supportive, but every achievement you have is a silent threat to their status. Workplace resentment. Colleagues may start resenting your growth silently, waiting for an opportunity to undermine your progress or claim credit for your achievements. Family dynamics. Family members can resent you without admitting it, particularly if your path diverges from theirs, or if you achieve more than expected. 5. The role of social media in resentment. In today's hyperconnected world, resentment doesn't always happen in person. Often, it brews silently online, hidden behind likes, shares, and carefully curated posts. Social media is a magnifying glass for envy, and a breeding ground for the invisible war. Comparison culture. Scroll. Like. Comment. Repeat. Every scroll through Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook exposes people to curated versions of your life. Your promotion. Your travel. Your milestones. Your relationships. Even if you post cautiously, your success becomes a mirror, reflecting what others lack or wish they had. Psychologically, humans are wired for comparison. The more visible your achievements, the more noticeable their absence in someone else's life. The subtle effect: someone may feel that your progress diminishes their own self-worth. The invisible war: likes, passive engagement, or sudden silence on your posts may signal simmering resentment. Stoic reminder: external validation is fleeting. Observe reactions without internalizing envy projected onto you. The silent undermining. Unlike open conflict, social media resentment often manifests subtly. Accidental omissions: they ignore your achievements, failing to like or comment while engaging with peers. Backhanded compliments: wow, impressive, didn't think you'd pull that off. Subtle public questioning: commenting in ways that cast doubt on your success, indirectly undermining your credibility. The invisible war thrives here because confrontation is optional, anonymity is easy, and the impact on your emotional energy is disproportionately high. Online envy escalates offline tension. Social media doesn't exist in a vacuum. Covert jealousy online often translates into subtle tension in real life. They may start talking differently to you after seeing your posts. Friendly competition may emerge at work or in social groups. Quiet withdrawal or coldness often follows the online triggers. The key is recognizing that resentment often starts online before manifesting in person. Observing these digital cues allows you to anticipate conflict without reacting impulsively. 6. Emotional intelligence to detect hidden resentment. You can't prevent all envy, but you can detect it early. Developing emotional intelligence, EI, helps you spot subtle resentment before it escalates. Observing microbehavior. Small behaviors are louder than words. Eye movement and gaze, avoidance or cold stares indicate discomfort. Tone shifts: passive aggressiveness in speech is often subtle. Behavioral inconsistency: people who are cheerful one moment and distant the next may be internally processing jealousy. Listening between the lines. Fake praise or overemphasized compliments often signal underlying tension. Example: I'm so proud of you, even though I'm surprised you pulled it off. Example: wow, that's impressive, but, are you sure it's sustainable? Notice the contrast between words and delivery. Their energy often reveals what their mouth hides. Emotional containment. Your response matters more than theirs. Maintain calm when sensing jealousy or resentment. Avoid defensiveness: do not attempt to prove yourself. Observe patterns, not isolated incidents. Stoic principle: don't let someone else's envy dictate your peace. 7. Psychological tools to protect yourself. Resentment isn't just a social problem, it's an energy problem. Here are practical strategies to shield your mind and maintain clarity. Detachment and observation. Step back emotionally. Watch the behavior without internalizing it. Detachment does not mean coldness, it means preserving energy. Document patterns: when, how, and in what context resentment appears. Anticipate interactions without overanalyzing them. Boundaries as armor. People often resent others who set clear boundaries, because boundaries limit control. Be explicit with time, attention, and emotional availability. Protect your work, personal life, and achievements. Use boundaries to prevent passive energy drains from escalating into overt hostility. Stoic reflection. Reflect regularly. What is within your control? What is external and should not disturb your peace? Who consistently uplifts you versus who saps your energy? The Stoics teach that internal freedom protects against external sabotage. Resentment thrives when your peace is accessible to others. Guard it. 8. Strategic responses to covert resentment. Resentment is inevitable in human relationships, it cannot always be prevented. But your response determines whether it becomes a silent drain or an opportunity to strengthen your inner stability. This chapter explores practical strategies rooted in psychology, emotional intelligence, and Stoic wisdom. Observing without reacting. The first strategy is simple but often the hardest: watch quietly. Don't confront every subtle slight. Maintain a mental log of behaviors and patterns. Look for consistency. Is the resentment a one-time reaction or a repeated pattern? Why it works. By observing without reacting, you preserve your energy while gaining clarity. Reacting impulsively often validates their covert hostility, escalating the invisible war. Selective sharing. Fake friends or covert rivals thrive on information. The more they know, the more ammunition they have. Be mindful of what you share about successes, struggles, or plans. Test reactions with small disclosures before revealing major achievements. Use discretion in professional and personal conversations. Psychological insight. This approach isn't secrecy for its own sake, it's energy management. Sharing selectively reduces the risk of envy-driven sabotage. Subtle distance. Distance is a protective tool, not a punishment. Gradually reduce emotional availability to those who drain energy or exhibit envy. Focus on relationships that uplift you rather than those that subtly compete. Observe how they react. Toxic individuals often reveal their intentions through discomfort when boundaries are enforced. Stoic principle. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it." Distance is your cliff, it allows the storm to pass without eroding your peace. Controlled confrontation. Not all resentment should be ignored. Sometimes, subtle confrontation is necessary. Use calm, neutral language. Avoid emotional escalation. Focus on behaviors, not character. "I noticed X, and it affected Y," rather than, "you're being jealous." Test their response. Genuine friends often acknowledge, apologize, or clarify. Fake friends deflect or escalate. The goal. To reveal patterns without becoming entangled in unnecessary drama. Confrontation is a diagnostic tool, not a battlefield. Cultivating your inner circle. One of the most effective strategies against covert resentment is curating your social environment. Invest time in people who consistently uplift, challenge, and inspire you. Reduce exposure to those who consistently drain energy or project envy. Surround yourself with allies, mentors, and genuine friends who value growth over competition. Psychological payoff. By prioritizing meaningful relationships, you limit the influence of covert rivals while maximizing opportunities for support and collaboration. Mastering emotional detachment. The final strategy is perhaps the most stoic: detachment. Understand that resentment reflects the other person's insecurity, not your value. Accept that you cannot control their thoughts or feelings. Focus exclusively on what you can control: your actions, your growth, and your response. Daily practice. Journaling about interactions to spot patterns. Meditative reflection on boundaries and values. Affirming your self-worth independently of external validation. When to walk away. Sometimes the invisible war is unwinnable. Some relationships are irreparably toxic. Walking away is not defeat, it's strategic self-preservation. Distance yourself from those who consistently undermine or resent your growth. Your time, energy, and peace are assets, don't gamble them on toxic dynamics. Stoic reminder. Seneca wrote, "Associate with those who make you better." Eliminate relationships that diminish rather than enhance your life. The invisible war is fought daily, often silently, subtly, and without warning. By observing quietly, sharing selectively, maintaining strategic distance, confronting tactfully, curating your inner circle, practicing detachment, and walking away when necessary, you protect your energy, preserve your growth, and maintain your peace. In the next chapters, we will explore historical and philosophical case studies, showing how great leaders and thinkers identified covert resentment, navigated it, and thrived despite it. 9. Lessons from history and philosophy, thriving amid covert resentment. Throughout history, some of the most successful individuals faced covert envy and hidden hostility. Their ability to recognize, endure, and strategically respond to resentment provides timeless lessons for modern life. Marcus Aurelius and the Stoic Shield. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, ruled during a time rife with political intrigue, envy, and betrayal. Senators, generals, and advisors often concealed resentment behind flattery and public loyalty. The challenge: as emperor, Aurelius could not openly confront everyone without creating instability. The strategy: he practiced internal detachment. He reminded himself that others' envy reflected their inner state, not his value or actions. The takeaway: Aurelius taught that peace comes from within. One cannot control external animosity, but one can control perception and response. Quote: when another blames you or hates you, their actions are governed by their impression of good or evil. Translation: their resentment is about them, not you. Recognize it, but don't let it dictate your mind. Julius Caesar, navigating silent rivalry. Julius Caesar, before becoming dictator, was surrounded by ambitious senators and generals. Many praised him publicly while plotting behind the scenes. The warning signs: hesitant compliance, subtle undermining of his authority, selective loyalty. The challenge: as emperor, Aurelius could not openly confront everyone without creating instability. The strategy: he practiced internal detachment. He reminded himself that others' envy reflected their inner state, not his value or actions. The takeaway: Aurelius taught that peace comes from within. One cannot control external animosity, but one can control perception and response. Quote: when another blames you or hates you, their actions are governed by their impression of good or evil. Translation: their resentment is about them, not you. Recognize it, but don't let it dictate your mind. Julius Caesar, navigating silent rivalry. Julius Caesar, before becoming dictator, was surrounded by ambitious senators and generals. Many praised him publicly while plotting behind the scenes. The warning signs: hesitant compliance, subtle undermining of his authority, selective loyalty. His approach: Caesar used observation, intelligence gathering, and selective alliances. He understood who truly supported him and who competed silently. The lesson: historical envy often disguises itself behind politeness. Success attracts covert rivalry, recognizing it early is key to survival. Sun Tzu and the Art of Strategic Awareness. In The Art of War, Sun Tzu emphasizes understanding human nature, not just enemies. Know your enemy and know yourself, and you can fight 100 battles without disaster. Applied to covert resentment, this means: identify subtle competitors in your environment. Assess motivations, not just words. Strategically respond without unnecessary confrontation. Modern application: in workplaces, social groups, or families, people often act friendly while undermining you subtly. Observing intentions and acting strategically preserves your energy and progress. Leonardo da Vinci, protecting creative genius. Leonardo da Vinci faced rival artists, patrons, and apprentices who envied his genius. The challenge: competitors would subtly discredit his work or claim credit. His strategy: Da Vinci focused on mastery and innovation, letting results speak louder than words. The lesson: excellence often triggers envy. Protect your creative or professional output by prioritizing achievement over seeking approval. Queen Elizabeth I, court intrigue and silent battles. Queen Elizabeth I ruled during an era of political espionage and courtly jealousy. Advisors, nobles, and even family members often disguise their resentment behind obedience and praise. Her approach. Carefully observed behavior over time. Cultivated trusted allies. Use strategic distance and controlled transparency. Lesson: in environments filled with covert competition, discernment, selective trust, and patience are more powerful than confrontation. Philosophical insights on resentment. Nietzsche: resentment is the instinct of the weak toward the strong. Covert hatred often arises from perceived inequality, not actual wrongdoing. Seneca: Stoic wisdom teaches detachment, associate with those who make you better. Protect yourself by focusing on genuine allies and minimizing exposure to envy. Modern psychology: research shows that people often hide negative emotions like jealousy or resentment to maintain social appearances. This explains why hostility often appears suddenly. It has been growing silently for months or years. Key takeaways from history. Observe quietly: envy often hides behind smiles and flattery. Historical leaders survived by reading subtle cues. Curate alliances: focus on people whose loyalty and actions are consistent over time. Protect your output: let results speak for you, don't over-explain or justify success. Practice detachment: others' covert resentment is their burden, not yours. Respond strategically: confrontation isn't always necessary, selective distance and controlled exposure are powerful tools. Historical examples show that resentment and covert competition are timeless. Whether in the Roman Senate, Renaissance workshops, or modern offices, people's envy and hidden hostility have always existed. What separates the resilient from the victimized is awareness, strategy, and inner stability. 10. Thriving despite resentment. Resentment is unavoidable. Envy will arise, subtle sabotage will occur, and people may secretly compete with you. But success, peace, and growth are possible if you understand the invisible dynamics and respond strategically. This chapter provides practical, psychological, and Stoic-based guidance to flourish despite covert hostility. Prioritize self-mastery. The first principle of thriving is mastering yourself, your mind, emotions, and responses. Emotional control: don't let others' envy provoke frustration or anger. Reacting impulsively only fuels the invisible war. Self-reflection: regularly analyze your interactions to separate genuine criticism from envy-based attacks. Stoic practice: Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Why it matters: mastery of self is the ultimate defense against resentment. When your peace is rooted internally, covert hostility cannot steal it. Curate your circle carefully. Not everyone deserves your time or energy. Your inner circle defines your mental and emotional ecosystem. Identify energy drains: observe who consistently saps your peace, subtly competes, or undermines you. Invest in allies: spend time with people who inspire, challenge, and uplift you. Limit exposure to toxicity: distance yourself, emotionally and physically, from those whose envy threatens your growth. Practical tip: quality always beats quantity. A few trustworthy allies are far more valuable than a crowded network of passive competitors. Protect your achievements strategically. Your success can trigger covert resentment, so protect it without paranoia. Selective sharing: disclose achievements thoughtfully. Gauge reactions before revealing sensitive milestones. Let results speak: focus on excellence and consistency. Competitors cannot diminish what is clearly accomplished. Document and verify: in professional or collaborative settings, maintain records to prevent covert undermining or credit theft. Psychological insight: resentment often targets those whose accomplishments are visible but poorly defended. Make your success undeniable. Cultivate resilience and emotional armor. Resentment thrives on emotional access. Strengthening your resilience limits its impact. Mindfulness: regular reflection, meditation, or journaling helps process subtle hostility without internalizing it. Cognitive reframing: recognize that envy reflects the other person's insecurities, not your shortcomings. Physical and mental routines, exercise, disciplined work habits, and structured downtime reinforce stability. Stoic reminder: internal strength is your most reliable shield. When your energy is self-sufficient, covert hostility loses power. Respond, don't react. Strategic response is different from impulsive reaction. Observe before addressing, gather information, notice patterns, and assess intent. Choose your battles. Some covert resentment is harmless, others require intervention. Communicate calmly and factually, focus on behaviors, not character judgments. Avoid emotional escalation. Example: if a colleague subtly undermines your project, a measured approach, documenting facts and addressing discrepancies calmly, neutralizes the threat without triggering confrontation. Embrace growth as your countermeasure. Ultimately, the best way to handle envy and resentment is to grow relentlessly. Focus on improving skills, knowledge, and personal development. Pursue goals without fear of provoking others. Your growth is not their responsibility. Resentment often diminishes when confronted with consistent, unshakable competence. Psychological principle: people resent what they cannot control. By mastering yourself, your craft, and your energy, you become impervious to their silent attacks. The power of silence and distance. Sometimes thriving requires not engaging at all. Silence communicates control. Distance preserves peace. Withdrawal from toxic interactions signals that your energy is non-negotiable. Stoic insight: Seneca wrote, "Associate with those who make you better." Walking away from covert hostility is not weakness, it's wisdom. Celebrate allies and authentic connections. Finally, thriving isn't only about defending yourself, it's about nurturing positive energy. Recognize and invest in genuine friendships. Celebrate their success alongside yours. Reciprocated loyalty strengthens bonds. Build a network where mutual growth and respect are the foundation. Lesson: real allies amplify your progress. Fake friends drain it. Focusing on authentic connections creates an environment where resentment cannot dominate. Conclusion: winning the invisible war. The invisible war is subtle, relentless, and often disorienting. Envy, covert competition, and hidden hostility are woven into human relationships. But thriving is possible if you master yourself and your emotions. Curate your inner circle and protect your energy. Respond strategically, rather than reacting impulsively. Focus relentlessly on growth and competence. Embrace silence, distance, and discernment. Resentment is inevitable, but it does not have to derail your life. Those who understand the invisible dynamics, act with strategy, and cultivate inner peace will not only survive but flourish. Remember, the invisible war is fought silently, but the victory belongs to those who control themselves, protect their energy, and grow regardless of covert hostility.